So I will tell a little bit about how I experienced vocation in my life. And to do that, I've chosen the verse of Proverbs 3, verse 5. I think it's a very well-known verse. I'll read it in Dutch. It goes like this. Vertrouw op de Heer met heel je hart en steun niet op je eigen inzicht. I think 6 months ago, there was a young, very beautiful woman stepping on to the Eurostar train in Rotterdam. And she had like this very big suitcase with her guitar on her back because she was going to London. And she was a little bit afraid. Or maybe she was very afraid because she didn't know what was ahead. Now, how do I know this? Because I am this young woman who is, of course, very beautiful as well. And I was stepping into this Eurostar train with all my fears sort of coming to me, and I didn't know where I was going, with what family I was staying with, and what I was going to do. The only thing I did know was that I was going to work in a church for 2 months. And I didn't know whether I was going to like it. I only knew that this was my answer to what I thought God had called me to do. And when I look back, as you often look back at things, I said, this was a good step, and I really enjoyed this. And I've made some important decisions when I was there. For example, to say yes to semis. And as I went back, and I'd grown, and I think I gained a bit more confidence, I got again quite frightened about semis coming up. So it was in the summer, and I was quite afraid, and I was again the same questions: where am I going? What am I going to do? Is the Church of England really my thing as a Dutch young woman? I don't know. And again, I was afraid. And so I went to this conference that had nothing to do with my fear, though. I just went to this conference in England, and another young woman with a call in her life spoke there. And she believed she was called to go to another town, to a ghetto. And she said, there was one fear that was sort of holding me back from actually going there. And that was because she was alone. She was in her 20s, and she wasn't married. She was afraid that this young, attractive woman in a ghetto somewhere was not really the best idea. And when she prayed about it, she said this. It felt as if Jesus looked at me and said, really? Is this your worry? When I am here with you, when I am a strong man in your life, so to speak. And it was at that moment as if Jesus said those words to me. Ilse, really, are these your worries? When I'm right here with you? And to illustrate this, I need some. My father helped me today create this, and as you can see, it is a beautiful painting by Rembrandt van Rijn, The Return of the Prodigal Son. At the same time that this woman spoke these words, I read Henry Nouwen, his book on this painting. And I realized there that my vocation, of course, has to do with the church and church ministry. But there's a more important call, I think, in all of our lives. And I think this painting illustrates that calling. It is the call of our father, of our mother, home. It is God who invites us into his infinite, never-ending, loving embrace. And I realized that if I would wake up every morning and say that to myself and see this picture, then everything would be fine. And I'm still a young woman on a train, not knowing where it stops or when it stops, how the place that I'm ending up with looks like. I have no idea. But the thing I do know is that someone is waiting for me at that stop. And that's my Heavenly Father, with his arms open wide. So, no matter where it is, it will be home. Amen.